Welcome to another segment of Louie with Abbey Algiers. Welcome, Abbey.
Thank you. Thank you, Sally.
You're welcome. You're taking on the great program that we had with your former father, and he's passed, and it's great that you're taking this on. Letters to Louie is segments of experiences that your dad had during his lifetime, basically living here in Hartford. And Louie was a great friend of his that he befriended in school and continued his friendship with him through his lifetime, and emailed him and would let him know what's going on. After Louie passed, he still continued to write these letters because he found it very cathartic. And so I'm very happy that you are willing to take this on for him and for all of us in our community.
Thank you. It's great to do it, to kind of keep it going.
That's awesome. And you've brought in a segment today, and he titled that Preparation. And this talks about when they moved out of their home in Hartford to an apartment in Milwaukee, and what that transition was like from moving from a very large house to an apartment.
Correct.
So if you would like to read that, and then we'll talk about all of that.
Great. Preparation. Dear Louie, this new year of 2017 is one of questionable avenues. Personal, national, family-wise, neighborhood involved in all aspects of daily life, and involving past, present, and future. We are to move this spring, not just one neighborhood to another, but from the community of childhood, maturity, family, and the past 90 years, to living. To say the move will be big is a gross understatement. It is a move of calamity proportions, a move of psychological, anxiety-producing events. And why are we moving? The move is precipitated by aging and health events, the probability of needing family help from caregivers living in another area, and the increasing fear of disability and dependence. The problems of so many others, of ex-patients, of relatives, of friends, and of acquaintances. The problems of aging, illness, and dependence. The status of not knowing specifics of a time in life, but fearing the eventuality of changes associated with increasing dependence. And this is where we find ourselves. We are changing. We have become near dependent on others for maintenance, for activity, for needs, for most everything. And if not truly dependent, associated diseases of aging pose a threat of dependence. In this day and age, contracted health care providers are as scarce as hen's teeth. The news articles advertise for available in-home services. But the truth of the matter, availability of providers is most difficult to procure. There are many advertised caregivers, but in my years of experience, the caregivers are not always available, trained, or properly motivated. There is a great divide between necessity of care and availability of providers. And the modern extended family just really does not function for prolonged caregiving to the elderly. Although desire to help might exist, ability to care for the elderly for prolonged time is not readily available. Like so many other equations in life, the equation is not likely to balance. However, an industry has developed, that of independent living in an extended environment, that of ongoing, changeable care as age promotes increasing dependency. The dependency on others to provide basic care is a bothersome, intrusive balance of necessity, time, and availability. Few families are able to provide necessary time and availability in the care of the elderly. The temporary time of care in an emergency is usually found, but when chronic illness cries for care, devoted care is usually difficult to obtain for extended time. Consequently, if one has the means, nursing homes of various types replace family care. This, Louie, is where we find ourselves at this state of our lives. We are becoming dependent, have afflictions of the aged, and must seek some form of independent living. We believe we have found such a facility. The facility we have found furnishes apartment-type living quarters, small by comparison to our home of 26 years, but cozy, warm, and attentive, at least until the needs of care are not too great. But since life is of questionable duration when one nears 90 and the other has stepped that threshold, the search is carried out to find a situation which, at least superficially, furnishes a temporary appropriate situation. Hopefully that's what we have found in the Milwaukee Catholic home. The facility is within a mile of each of the 3 girls, and their mere presence is gratifying when one compares the present distance of 35 miles from them to us. I have noted over the years that elderly patients took solace in proximity of their children, even if actual physical presence was not always immediately available. And so, Louie, it is with these considerations that we now embark on downsizing, throwaway, clean out, and other activities. Tax forms of a generation are thrown onto the throwaway pile. Rewards for jobs and projects well done, just cards with a name and not with words, are piled into plastic bags of finite possession. Memories and documents await the paper grinders. Clothing not worn for years is bagged, stroked, even smelled, and then discarded. Casting aside objects used in the past is done with a twitch over the precordium of memory and a realization that some things do mean something, that life well lived is relived briefly and with emotion of recall. Yes, this ritual of permanent downsizing is not without emotion. I plowed through records and papers from my office, papers prepared for teaching during the 50s and 60s, the time of the explosion of knowledge in medicine, the time when even in the rural hospitals, time must be made for the younger physicians to teach nurses and aides in the changing environment of the hospital ward. This we did, and as I gazed the pages of notes which I had saved, volumes which represented nights until 11 o'clock preparing for the next day of lecture, nights after a day of work from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., I wondered where I had found the time, energy, and dedication to teach the new art of medicine. But I guess I did it, and I was pleased to find the age-old evidence of neatly documented thoughts and new knowledge. Louie, I felt good. And now, as I end this note to you, I feel better and am determined to continue to write to you and document this near the end of the trail venture. Jim.
It was really impressive that he could catalog to his friend everything that he was going through. I mean, you could have a sense that you actually were there with him. And people that are older have to go through this with their parents or their loved ones or a friend, and they have to be able to decide, keeping this, not keeping that. But it's the memories that are with it. And for him to keep all of his records of schooling just shows what a professional he really was.
Right. And those records, he did, he boxed up and got rid of some, but my sisters and I and brothers, we have some of those. And just looking back, it's sort of a testament to the hard work that he put in, and just, it was amazing. You think, how can you do all these things without computers? How did people function? But, he has the overhead projector notes, everything from the past, and it was just very interesting to see all of that.
He was truly a professional and gave back to our community, not just by being a physician here, but by implementing and starting all these different programs that he did with the rescue squad, with our now 1022 club, coming up with that name and having a facility for people to drop their loved ones off and just get a respite of caring for them. And they do a great job up there, and I'm really impressed with that. But he really always had that sense of community. And we start to lose that at times when communities are getting larger and larger, and maybe they're not as involved.
Right. And you spoke of the things that he did, and he was always kind of looking to the future, So it's funny, the things that he was looking to support are things that, he eventually and my mom needed help with. So it's just kind of the cycle of life continuing,
Yes.
and just very fortuitous in the things that he thought needed attention. And
Absolutely. And it's great to have this all recorded.
it really is.
It is.
It really is, yes.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and reading this letter for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, as always, thank you for watching.